Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Shasta County Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, April 9th, 2013. The invocation this morning will be given by Pastor George Knight of the Crosspoint Community Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor BOS. Will you please join us by standing? Pastor, good morning.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for another day, another chance to see your mercy, because you've promised your mercies are new every morning. Father, we thank you for another chance to serve you with what we're doing in our government, with what we're doing in our city, and what we're doing in our county. Father, we come to you because we need your wisdom, we need your understanding and your direction, because even when we think we're doing right, many times we find that right eludes us. So, Father, may we find your will, not our will, your way, not our way, your direction, not our direction. Father, we come to you because you have all of those things that we need, the love and the grace, the forgiveness. You have those things that you have given us, life and the liberty and this chance to serve you again. So thank you, Father, for this day and all of these things you've given us. And may we say along with the psalmist that the words of our mouth, the meditations of our heart are acceptable in your sight. We pray this all in your Son's name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Supervisor.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. As we join together in the pledge, may we do it in honor of those who serve and protect everywhere in the world and honor our nation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Nile. Thank you, Supervisor BOS. We'll go to regular calendar presentations. R1, receive an update on the Resource Management Department from Director of Resource Management, Mr. Rick Simon. Mr. Simon, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How is everybody doing today?
On top of the world. Thank you.
Excellent. First, I want to thank you, by the way, Rick Simon, Director of Resource Management. Thank you, Supervisor Kehoe, for providing the opportunity, and the rest of the supervisors, for me to stand before you and give you an update on the activities of the Resource Management Department. I just want you to know that it's my intent to come before the board on a quarterly basis and provide an update on our activities and the things that are going on in the Resource Management Department. I think it is important for the board to know and for the citizenry to understand what we do, how we do it, and where we're going, what our direction is. The first thing I would like to do is I would like to cover three different areas. One is kind of an update of our activities, the level of activities that have been going on in our lobby, the kinds of permits we've been, people have been applying for, and our some statistical things, updates. An update of our current activities, and then a preview of what's ahead. What is my vision? What direction are we going in? So first, the activity levels. In terms of customers, what I've done is a comparison between the first quarter of 2012 to the first quarter of 2013, and so that we can kind of all get an idea of what the trends are as the economy begins to pick up. How are things reflected in our activity levels? In the first quarter of 2012, we saw, that was a 3-month period, we saw 1,961 customers coming through our lobby with various questions, various applications, and so on. The first quarter of 2013, we have increased that to 2,279, an increase of 318 people, or 16%. That to me is a good sign. People are active, they're asking questions, they're curious about what they can do with their properties, how the application process works, and they're coming in to ask us those questions. In terms of building permits, in the first quarter of 2012, there were 393 building permits applied for during that 3-month period. In the first quarter of 2013, that was increased to 496, an increase of 103 permit applications, or 26%. In terms of the building permits issued in that same period of time, the first quarter of 2012, 333. First quarter of 2013 was 435, an increase of 102 applications issued, or 31%. Now, understand that that's not all of those applications coming in during that 3-month period and being issued during that 3-month period. Some of those in both situations were from previous years, or moving through the process. Nevertheless, it does show an increase. In terms of planning projects, in the first quarter of 2012, we had 28 planning project applications, and that includes use permits, subdivision maps, parcel maps, zoning amendments, and those kinds of things, all of the things under the umbrella of planning. 28 of those applications last year at this time. This year, it's 54, which represents an increase of 26, which is a 93% increase. And again, an indication that things are picking up, that people are breathing life into projects that have been dormant for a while, as the economy has been flat. In terms of valuation, primarily dealing with building permit applications, the first quarter of 2012, the total valuation of all the permits that we had processed was $6.4 million. In 2013, thus far, $7.1 million, an increase of about $0.6 million, or 10%. So again, the signs are good, that are consistent with reports that you've gotten from Economic Development Corporation and others, that there are signs that the economy is actually picking up. That is being reflected in the activity level in our department. I will add an important statistic here, that during the increase in our building permit applications and issuance, we have shaved off about 2 weeks in our building permit process timeline. So in 2012, it took about 56 days to process a building permit from the point that you submitted over the counter to the point where you actually were issued your permit. That's been cut back to an average of 41 days, a reduction of 15 days, or 27%. So while we're entertaining and processing more applications, we are increasing our efficiencies and getting those through the process more quickly. Current activities. For the first time, probably starting about 6 months ago, in I would say about 3 years, we have a full management staff at the Resource Management Department. That's very important. For a long time, I came on in 2007 as the assistant director. My primary responsibility at that time was to manage and run the planning division, which I did for about a year, and I was very excited. We were fully staffed. About 9 months later, we started doing some pretty drastic reductions in staffing levels because of the economy and so on. We reduced ultimately by about 40% in that department, primarily in building and planning. But more importantly, or equally as important, is that we lost through retirements and some moves 2 of our primary division managers. And for about a period of about 3 years, I was wearing 3 hats: building division, planning division, and environmental health division management, sharing those responsibilities with the director. I thought at first that was going to be a great opportunity to add to efficiencies and consolidate the workings of all of these divisions. Shortly after thinking that thought, I realized that keeping up with daily activities was already more than a full-time job with those 3 different divisions, and so really had very little opportunity to implement any innovative ideas or improve efficiencies in communications. That's important because at that same time, I think the economy was trying to feel its way towards the bottom, and I think we've probably hit there, and we're moving our way back up. But that was a time when the community really needed some leadership from our department, and because of our staffing levels and the inability to spread the work in an efficient manner, we were really handicapped in that regard, and unable to step forward with some ideas that may have been timely at that point to implement. I have hit the ground running when I took on the director's position, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that and serve in that capacity, and have begun to implement those ideas. We are now, as I mentioned, fully staffed in terms of our management team, and we have a group that's very enthusiastic about making positive changes and progressing forward from here. I've met with several groups, including the Association of Realtors, the Economic Development Corporation on a couple of occasions, and a couple of engineers who sought me out, and we had a very nice meeting for about an hour and a half. Some of the common concerns that I've been hearing in this dialogue are concerns about staffing levels, and in that regard, we had 3 vacancies, one in each of the divisions: planning division, building, and environmental health. Those vacancies are really critical. Our staff is at a point where we are very lean, and we have no room for for gaps without affecting service. So we are in the process of filling all 3 of those positions. We have a start date for our planner, who is going to be joining us later on this month. The new building inspector should be coming on shortly after that, and the environmental health inspector is still pending, but we're hopeful that will be filled in the next few weeks. Lobby wait times, that was another issue where there are always exceptions. The average lobby wait time right now is 15 minutes, with an average amount of time spent in a booth of about 25 minutes. There are always exceptions. People come in and go more quickly than that, and I have heard stories recently of people coming in and waiting as long as an hour to an hour and a half to get a question answered, where we have all of our counter staff busy dealing or helping people in the different in their stations, in their booths, and there just is nobody else available at the time. And so that is an unfortunate situation. We need to ensure a sustainable level of activity in order to expand staff, but we are always looking at that to see if that is something that now is the time. In other words, to add another person to the permit center. The things that we can do, though, are increasing some of our efficiencies. One of those, part of the issue with that lobby wait time was that if all of our counter staff are helping people and someone has a very quick question, the intake of an application, even a simple application, can take as much as 30 or 45 minutes with all of the different ways that we electronically take that in, with the fees and the different referrals to different agencies and so on. If someone is there with a simple question, they essentially have to wait until all of those, at least one of those people are finished before they can get their question answered, and that's where some of the frustration has come about with people feeling like they are waiting for too long. So in terms of improving efficiencies in that regard, we are beginning an email account that would be a general resource management email account that people can email in questions. They can email in even some simple applications that we have been allowing people to do through the fax process, but not everybody has access to a fax machine, and they can get some of those easier questions answered in a more timely manner through that electronic technology. And so we are implementing that now, and we'll be expanding upon that. We'll do an experiment here for a little while, a couple of months, and see how it works, work out the bugs, and then expand that to some of the other divisions. On the other side of that coin is how do people get responses to more complex questions? And the answer there is that we have and they're usually having to do with building permits and building type of technical questions. We have our building division manager available for the counter He spends a lot of time at the counter actually helping people work through, the more complex issues with regard to building. And we always have senior planners available if someone has a zoning question or a what can I do with my property kind of question that goes beyond a simple matter of, well, here's the zoning and here's what you can do. If there's more to it, they can always request a meeting with one of our senior planners, and they would be made available. Part of my goal is to make senior staff more available than they have been in the past, and to provide that expertise for people when they come in. Application fees, that has been mentioned a number of times. Back in 2008, when the board adopted the most recent planning fees schedule, they put a notation in the resolution that indicated that after 5 years that fee schedule should be revisited. Well, this is the 5th year. So I intend to undertake that review to see where the fees are in relation to the level of development and the cost of providing services, and do a revisit of those to see if there are places where we can increase efficiencies, maybe break fees into smaller sections depending on what kind of application is coming in, and so on. So I'll be taking a look at that over the next year. And finally, application materials and the level of detail that is asked for on various application types. That is something that we are updating our forms and information sheets. And there was a comprehensive development manual done in 1994 that kind of gave people a step-by-step process of how to get various applications approved. We will be updating that. It hasn't been touched since 1994, so things have changed a bit, and it's time to update that. We would also like to start sponsoring workshops for people, what I like to call something like a Citizens Academy, where we would invite contractors and the general public to a workshop where we would take them through step-by-step various types of applications, septics and wells, how do you build a single-family residence, even some commercial type developments, where we would get information out to folks so that they know more what to expect, what happens when during the process, and the importance of completing each application, each part of the application as thoroughly as possible, and kind of the ramifications of what happens when we have to go back, that kind of a thing. So increased understanding of the process and the importance of the different kinds of materials that we're asking for and what it's used for, I think would be helpful as well. What's ahead? I am investigating opportunities for additional staff training. I know that there is a desire on the part of the community, the Board of Supervisors, and me as the director to provide some opportunities to shift the way that we deal with the community, our involvement with the community, and I think that there is opportunity to provide some very positive exchanges between community groups, which I have already started here, and the county, and I think that will go a long way. So staff needs to be part of that shift, and so I'm looking at ways of providing kind of comprehensive training to staff to make sure that everybody's on board and moving in the same direction. I have no doubt that the staff that we have is eager to make those kinds of changes, and it's a matter of establishing a framework so that everybody moves at the same time. Also, I would like to expand upon the dialogue with professional and community groups, which has already started, and I want to thank those groups that I have met with and individuals that I have met with to date for very constructive discussion and good ideas about how to make the system more efficient and work better for everybody. I would like to continue that and expand it. I'm open to good ideas. I think it's important that everybody understand that everybody who comes to the development table, whether you're a consultant, a contractor, a property owner, an applicant, or a member of the regulatory community, if you will, a member of the county in our department, everybody at that table has responsibilities, And everybody has the opportunity to improve on those responsibilities and fulfill those responsibilities. My goal is to be able to get everybody working together, going in the same direction, again, with the idea of making the process more transparent and more efficient for all members, all people involved. In that regard, I would like to extend an open invitation. Since taking this position as director, I've been interviewed a couple of times on the radio and the newspaper at every opportunity, and when I speak to different groups, I open the door to as an open invitation. There is a contingency of folks who have been appearing before the board on Tuesday mornings. I have been listening on the intercom if I'm not in the boardroom actually. I've heard some good ideas. I've heard things that I agree with in terms of, yeah, let's move in that direction, or let's take a good closer look at that. I would invite those folks or members of that group, if they would like to choose a couple of representatives, to get in touch with me and make contact with me. We will set up either a large meeting, or we can sit down in my conference room one-on-one, either way, and at least start the dialogue rolling, bring that group into the fold as well. My point here is that progress is being made. I am making contact with community groups and professional groups. There have been good suggestions. We are acting on those good suggestions, and I would like to bring those folks into the fold as well. That concludes my report, and again, I would intend to do this on about a quarterly basis, more often, obviously, upon request, but that would be my goal.
Any comments, or Mr. Baugh?
Thank you, Chairman Kehoe. And Mr. Simon, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your quarterly report concept. I think it will serve us well. It will serve to allow the community to have a peek inside of your department. And I like the way you've compared it from year to year. I especially like the 2 words that you use, innovation and efficiency. And from the list of ideas and concepts that you've given us already, you obviously are already, you use the words hit the ground running, but I think you must have started running prior to getting this job, because this is a huge list. Every single one of these items will improve efficiencies within the department. And as I've already been quoted publicly saying, you are the man for the job. I appreciate everything that you are doing. Thank you for your continued efforts.
Thank you.
Supervisor Modi.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo Supervisor Baugh's comments and add that I applaud your efforts to make the process more transparent. I think a better understanding by all involved will help us get to where we want to go. I think also, a lot of times people have a perception of what is supposed to happen, but don't know all the parts of it. And so I think that's going to be that's a very good start to help people understand all the things that are even sometimes beyond our control. But I think the adding of the email account is a great addition. A lot of people used to ask, why can't I, email the department? I think that's a great way to get information out there and answer those quick questions. I have met some of your management staff already. I'm very impressed with them. And I will also tell you that in the public, already I've started to hear some very positive comments about your department. So continue the good work.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? Bill? Mr. Simon, I found your presentation to be completely refreshing. And ladies and gentlemen, let's make no mistake about Mr. Simon's presentation this morning. The takeaway idea is that it is not business as usual. You've stressed innovation, you've stressed the Citizens Academy, email accounts, community outreach. All of those ideas, in theory and practice, are constructive and will serve us well in Shasta County. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The next presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is from the Health and Human Services Agency Community Education Specialist, Sherry Brooks, regarding the Shasta County's recently concluded Healthy for Life Challenge. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, County Council.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Brooks, and I'm here representing the Shasta County Total Worker Health Program. You're used to seeing Michelle Schaefer up here, but she is unfortunately on vacation. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but lucky her. I'd like to report on the 6th Annual Healthy for Life Challenge that concluded in February. This challenge is part of a broader outreach and a commitment from the Total Worker Health Program to provide resources, policies, and environment to support our staff in living a healthy and safe and working in a healthy and safe workforce. By creating an environment that supports this culture of health, we also walk the talk as a Healthy Shasta partner. And I'd like to tell you more about our challenge that we did. Again, it was 6 years that we've done it. It concluded February 17th. We had 30 teams and 234 employees participate. We kicked it off in the beginning of the new year. That's when a lot of people make resolutions. And from the task or the Total Worker Health Program's perspective, we want to support that. So a lot of people say, oh, Happy New Year, we're going to do this resolution. It lasts for about a week, maybe 15 days. But when you put a program to that and a challenge, you can try to extend that. And the Healthy for Life challenge is really about adopting new behaviors. It's not about losing weight, but it's looking at new behaviors. And those behaviors that we looked at were eating breakfast every day. It's very important, most important meal of the day, to eat breakfast. No matter what it is, you want to break your fast in the morning, get that energy so that you can go to work and perform well. Rethinking your drink, I'm sure you've all heard of that. That's a campaign that's happening across the nation. Just getting employees to think more about hydration. Very important for our body functions. A lot of times when we think we're hungry, what we really are is dehydrated, and it helps us function better, our brain work better, so when our employees are at health, they're hydrated, they're performing better. We've heard for years about fruit and vegetable intake, eating 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables decreases your risk of a lot of chronic diseases, and we all know it's harder to do, so if we put it to a challenge, we think more people will do it. Toughie for the challenge was no dinner or no eating after dinner or 2 hours before going to bed, and that habit really addresses emotional eating, boredom, loneliness, the TV telling you to go and have a bag of Doritos or get that bowl of ice cream, so it's just getting people to think about that before they make that choice. Physical activity is a big part of the program, striving for 30 to 90 minutes of physical activity every day for good health. And this year we added a stress reduction component to our program because our employees tell us all the time in surveys that their stress levels are high. So we wanted to address that. And in that goal, the employees focus on mental and emotional health. We just asked them to take 10 minutes out of their day to go internal and think about something they can do to de-stress. And that was really hard for a lot of people, to take a simple 10 minutes out of their day. And they could do it in any way they wanted, but we got a lot of feedback on how that made a difference and how they performed and how they were able to decrease their stress. A lot of team captains reported healthier eating. They've introduced a salad bar once a week at their work site. You see a lot more county employees out walking at 10, 12, and 3 during their breaks. Instead of being in the break room, they're active and getting their physical activity minutes in. We had teams that worked together and met at one of the river trail and took a walk after work together, or they went to a yoga class. So really supporting each other in this team effort is something that we saw, and it really helps build employee morale at the county. For physical activity, the participants averaged 256 minutes of physical activity a week, and that exceeds the CDC standards, the Center for Disease Control, of 210 minutes recommended. Trying to strive for 30 minutes every day of physical activity, but if you can get 60 to 90, you'll reap more health benefits, and our challengers did that. Eating breakfast and mental wellness, they got the most possible points on. And again, like I mentioned earlier, they've really struggled with that after dinner eating. And Supervisor Baugh might want to talk about that a little bit more. This challenge was not about losing weight, but if people adopt healthier habits and if they have weight to lose, they lose weight. We lost 329 pounds this year. Again, not everybody joins the challenge for weight loss. Some people don't have weight to lose, but if you adopt these habits, you'll see that, and you have weight to lose, that you'll see that weight drop off. And studies have shown that if you decrease your weight, if you're overweight by 5%, you'll reduce your risk of chronic diseases such as cancer, heart disease, and high blood pressure. I would also like to personally thank Supervisor Lesbaugh for his 6 years of dedication to this. He has been the lighthearted, funny blogger for all our employees, and they all look forward to his message every week. He dovetails off the educational message, but makes it fun and interactive and keeps it real for all our employees. So thank you very much for walking the talk and being a part of this challenge. I would now like, the Total Worker Health Program would like to request the Board of Supervisors to join us in recognizing the following 3 teams. The most improved team goes to Open Time Sneakers from the CAO's office. And Julie Hope, are you in the house?
There.
Oh, there she is. Good. So Julie gets, her team gets most improved team. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The most, I'll stop talking.
Try it here. 1, 2. Sorry, technical
Yeah.
difficulty.
Oh, yeah, I can smile all
So
day.
you start here. 1, 2, 3.
She's so happy.
You use more calories smiling than frowning, right?
That's right. Well, the Open Time Sneakers Most Improved Team, it's a 6-week challenge, and what they did is started out with a certain amount of numbers the first week, and they improved by the 6th week. That means they really worked the challenge. They worked those, they got the points for all those healthy habits, and by the end of the challenge, they were the most improved. So thanks
Thank you.
for being a team captain. Second place goes to Health and Human Service Agency, the Domination Association. They got bumped out of first place, and we'd like them to come on up for their second place award. This year was really fun. The Domination Association really took on some extra challenges of the other 3 top teams. They challenged them, sent them Brussels sprout cake, and what else did you do to them?
We sent him some Brussels sprouts. A gold roll.
And so it was really a lot of interaction between departments, and it was a fun way to end the challenge. And thank you very much for being the team leader, Lisa. And the winning team this year is HHSA, the Sea Hags, and I'd like to have the Sea Hags come up, led by Heidi Vert. They had the traveling trophy many times during the challenge. It bounced around a little bit, but it ended up back in their hands. And Heidi, here's our team captain. And the girls, there's Mickey Mills is missing, but this is your team, the Sea Hags. So congratulations to all the participants in the challenge, and I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors, County Council, and all department heads that support the Shasta County Total Worker Health Program.
Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Brooks. 2 questions. If members of the public would like to learn more about these successful strategies, how can they accomplish that?
They can go to healthyshasta.org, and we don't have this challenge on there, but the message is there through wherever you work, live, and play. They can get information about all those.
My second question is this. How can we recognize the accomplishments of Supervisor Baugh? Would it be possible to have an award like the Soiled Kid thing? Soiled Sneaker Award?
Would you like him to get one of those? I'd be
Oh, I
happy to
would.
get one. You could give him the Golden Shoe Award. I don't know if soiled, but he's been a true leader for us, and we really appreciate his efforts.
Supervisor Baugh.
Well, Supervisor Kehoe was a man of many words, the choice of soiled sneakers. At any rate, I wanted to thank Sherry especially and your team for all of your efforts, the consistency and the continued, I think, enthusiastic participation by county employees. It's a great sign to see so many people want to improve their own physical well-being just because it's the right thing to do. I want to thank Julie Hope, too, for leading the most improved team. Appreciate your encouragement and enthusiasm. Now, I was going to get more points for our team. I was on the most improved team. But Sherry Brooks told me that points were not counted for running back and forth for emotional eating to the refrigerator to the easy chair in the evening, that I couldn't count that as exercise. I do want to thank especially the Sea Hags, who I am convinced you guys must exercise all night long. I don't know how you would do it every year, but to all, it is a worthwhile project, and we do appreciate the participation we get. And Supervisor Kehoe, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much.
You know,
Other comments?
I just want to thank you for letting me know who it was that was talking to me at night about the ice cream. I can now blame the TV. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you. And the next challenge that will be coming up will be the Bike Commute Challenge, and that is open to the whole community. So you can be looking for that in the newspaper and on healthyshasta.org. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our next item is the public comment period open time. Comments should be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. Pursuant to the Brown Act, action or board discussion cannot be taken on open time matters other than to receive the comments and, if deemed necessary, to refer the subject matter to the appropriate department for follow-up and/or to schedule the matter on a subsequent board agenda. We have several requests to speak this morning. Our first speaker is Mr. Murray Blake, representing the Salvation Army, followed by Ms. Lori Scott.
We'll start my 3 minutes yet.
No, we won't. Mr. Blake, welcome. Thanks for
you.
joining us.
Thank you. Let me see which glass I'm supposed to wear. Mr. Chairman, members of the Shasta County Board of Supervisors, county staff, and ladies and gentlemen. I've spoke before the board before, and I think this is the most people I've ever seen here. I got to start coming more often, I
Sure.
guess. So,
You're
anyway,
always welcome.
my name is Murray Blake, and some of you know me as the guy that shows up from time to time, talk about the Salvation Army and what's happening. 2012 was quite a year. But as in the past, I do not want to bore you with a lot of numbers, as you're probably seeing numbers in your sleep at night, trying to figure out how to balance a budget, pay for public safety, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going to tell you that in 2012, the Salvation Army gave groceries to over 24,000 people, or clothes and furniture to over 1,000 people in need. I'm not going to tell you about the 350 plus families we fed at Thanksgiving, or the 450 plus that we fed at Christmas, or the 1,500 children that were given toys, so that their Christmas would be a little brighter. I'm not going to tell you the total value of the assistance provided by the Salvation Army to the people of Shasta County in 2012 was over $486,000. No, today I'm here to thank the citizens of Shasta County for their generosity. During our Stuff the Bus with Toys Day, co-sponsored by Channel 7 News Team, headed by Jennifer Scarborough and Mike Mangus, we were donating so many toys, thousands upon thousands of toys. And we were able to give several hundred to the children at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. We also were able to give several boxes of new teddy bears this year to the Reading Police Department to distribute to the needy children through their Blue Santa program. So on behalf of the advisory board and the staff of the Salvation Army, we want to thank all the employees of the county for their help, with special thanks to Mr. Lees and Supervisor Ball once again, who helped us kick off our Red Kettle campaign this year, which, by the way, set a new record, over $158,000 collected. We want to thank over the 600 volunteers who rang bells in 30 locations, and I'm sure there's some of them right out here right now that did that. We want to thank the Oxalots for their tireless support and from our kickoff campaign to the many hours they volunteer ringing bells. There's one person I'd like to thank individually is Dick Wilkerson. Some of you may know him personally, but if you don't, you will know him as a Christmas light display guy on Barrel Court behind the Red Barn, who, with the help of his family, friends, and neighbors, collected over $13,000. With all that said, on behalf of the Salvation Army, I'd like to present this special plaque to all the employees of Shasta County for their support of the Shasta County, or the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign with heartfelt thanks. Thank you for your time, and God bless America.
Mr. Blake, I've I've asked Supervisor Baugh to accept this on behalf of the board and the employees of Shasta County.
In the past years that I've been there, when we kick off the campaign, Les is usually the center of attention, but this year he
No.
wasn't. This
No.
year you weren't.
I can't believe that you would accuse me of that.
Yeah, I said, and that was, but he brought this little four-legged animal with him, and that's what everybody wants to stop by and talk to. It wasn't him this year.
It's the truth. We'll use anything to get more money in the bells, and my cute little doggie was the center of attention, and more people did bring money. I did want to thank you for the presentation here, and thank you for your efforts on behalf of the board. I do have to mention, it's a pleasure each year to kick off that campaign in a friendly, competitive spirit with the City of Reading employees and the Shasta County employees. Now, I do have to mention that Mr. Starman once again sent his gloating email to me. It says, I don't want to rub it in, Les, but the City of Reading won the Salvation Army bell ringing competition once again. Now, our name doesn't appear anywhere on the trophy, and he actually sent a picture of it to me this year, and I sent the appropriate congratulations to the city. The real winners are all of those the Salvation Army serves each year and blesses and benefits with their efforts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Thank you, Supervisor Baugh. Our next speaker is Ms. Lori Scott, followed by Mr. Thomas Lane. Ms. Scott, pleasure to see you this morning.
Good morning, Lori
Thank you.
Scott, Treasurer, Tax Collector, Public Administrator. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm here to remind everybody that your property taxes are due tomorrow. Ways you can pay it: you can walk into our office and pay it. You can pay it by mail to P.O. Box 991830. You just have to make sure that the postmark on the envelope shows April the 10th. Anything that has April 11th and beyond, then we have to charge you a 10% penalty and a $10 cost. You can go to our website, which is www.co.shasta.us/departments/TTC. If you look on the back of your tax bill, there's a lot of information. On the very top of it is that website address, if you couldn't write it fast enough when I was just talking. When you're at our website, you can get your property tax information. You can look to see if your mortgage company has paid your taxes. You can find out if last year's taxes were paid when you're doing your income taxes, Monday through Sunday, till all hours of the day or night. You can check to see how much you paid, so you can use that information on your income taxes. On the front side of your tax bill, leaving the website, I need you to look at your important message box, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your tax bill. Make sure that you do not have delinquent taxes. It will indicate that information on your tax bill. If you see something that indicates that you have delinquent taxes, please do not wait. Please give us a call at 225-5511 and let's talk about it. Maybe there's options for you to start an installment plan on that. After 5 years of delinquent taxes, we do put these properties up for sale, and all of that information is listed on our website, and I do come to the board with that information, and it is published in the newspaper also. This year, Mr. Kehoe asked us to put together this information, and I want to thank the Auditor's Office, Sherry there, for putting this together, my staff in the Tax Collector's Office, Kathy, and Resource Management for making this poster size. What this indicates, you'll hear a lot of county staff say, Shasta County only gets to keep 13 cents on the dollar. This makes it a little bit more realistic to you. For every $1,000 that you pay in property taxes, Shasta County gets $130.29. Cities get $66.99. Special districts get $58.57. Schools get $495.58. ERAF, $162.23, and redevelopment get $86.34. So if you have any questions regarding that, please contact the Auditor Controller's Office as they apportion the property taxes, and that's here in this building at room 238. So if you have any questions, Please give us a call or check our website because there's a lot of information and our phones are ringing off the hook. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Appreciate it. Anything you'd like to add, Mr. Lees? Okay, very good. Thank you, Lorna. Our next speaker is Mr. Thomas Lane, followed by Mr. Wyatt Paxton. Good morning, Mr. Lane.
Good morning. Thank you for your time.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
And I get to follow the tax lady. A few weeks ago, I was here and observed employees and supporters of Anselmo's Vineyards. And one phrase came to mind after watching that, and that is legacy. If you will remember Chef John Stadelli, who sat over here, and with him he had 3 young people who he was training to be his sous chefs. Many of those young people could very easily be in a different county building were it not for his efforts. So my challenge is to the supervisors, what's your legacy going to be for being on this board? So tonight when you're brushing your teeth, that's the thought. I want you to think of me and what your legacy is going to be. Is it going to be countless fundraising dinners with rubber chickens and plaques that you box up? Or perhaps could it be leading to a resolution? I am a resident of Shasta County. I don't have a dog in the hunt in this dispute between Anselmo's and the county, but I really don't like to see it played out. And I think it needs to be resolved. I think you guys can do that. Secondly, I applaud the gentleman's efforts at changing the culture within the county to make it more user-friendly. It starts at the top. What's your legacy going to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Next speaker is Mr. Wyatt Paxton, followed by Ms. Dolores Lucero. Mr. Paxton, good morning.
Good morning. I'm here on a similar issue with the Integrity Project and about how to resolve these issues. I'd like to congratulate Rick Simon on his position. A well-needed change. We'd like to be one of the first public groups to actually meet with him and help provide any assistance or suggestions we could help to try to resolve that. And I've already started by doing that by reading, I guess, his mind, because I sent him emails yesterday to that fact. Builders Exchange would like to meet with him. I'd like to meet with Bill Nagle with the City of Reading to start these processes of better communication. On the second thought, though, in the newspaper, we are on front page again about the cost of this litigation for the Anselmo project. So that would be another way of, we could try to bring some of these, resolve some of these violations and issues. We need to process those issues. Whether they're in litigation or not, we have current applications in and I am not getting responses on how to move forward. We need to make that happen. The intent of the planning code is for public safety and moral issues and public welfare, and we're not moving forward. We need to make that happen. Another suggestion I would have in the study is about the fees is that we compare ourselves to other counties in Northern California, other counties, not cities, because those processes are different for cities and counties. There's longer distances to travel, and those fees should be compared to those same, not just another rollover in cost of living to the fees already that have extenuating costs to them. Another idea would be to provide appointments for the public to come in. I understand he served 2,200 people, customer services, but do you realize the math says that's 10 a day? That's 10 a day in an 8-hour period. At other places, I do permits from Southern California to Oregon. They set up appointments, less than a 5-minute wait, you go in and make that appointment. You should be able to do that. If you just did those appointments only on a Friday. You can also set up an appointment with a plan checker to how to design a process, and you could do those on Friday. That's what's done in other counties and other cities. And I think Rick's the one can make this happen. And I don't want to throw a negative connotation on that. I'd like to help him in any way we can. We have several people in the community who would love to help him, so let us meet with him, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paxton. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Lucero, followed by Bob. I'm sorry, I can't make out the last name, but B-U-K-S-E-K? Berger? Mr. Bob Berger. Ms. Lucero, good morning.
Good morning. I have a couple concerns here. First one, I have to respond to Ms. Sherry Beck. She mentioned regarding Mr. Osamo, that if she would have taken funds from him, it would have been a conflict. If she would have read the laws, she would have known it's not a conflict. Not less if you would have been elected, if you would have sat on the board of supervisor, if you don't recuse yourself, that is a conflict of interest. So I understand.
Okay.
Okay. But I wanted to correct her on that because she's wrong on that. The next thing is, I was listening to the radio this morning on how much money you have been spending from the taxpayers, not your money, taxpayers. It's been over 500,000, probably more, okay? What if the citizens decide to do a class action and took you to court and sue you for misusing the funds of the taxpayers and made you pay $100,000 each, and that means you wouldn't have any money for 2 years, and see how would you like to live off with nothing? That's what you're basically doing, abusing. You're taking the citizens' money and using it to fight a battle that you don't need to fight. You're making it difficult for yourselves because now it's coming back and biting you because we're looking at you. We're saying, how can you use the taxpayers' money and instead of working with this man and making the other families, they have a job. Why make it difficult for Osamo and on top of that, all the other families who have a job? Is this about power, control, and money? I look at it as corruption because you are public officials. We're supposed to look up to you and hoping that you do the right thing, but you're not. The citizens need to take control of the situation because it's going on too long. I'm recommending anybody who wants to contact me, please contact me. I am getting a group together which is going to be fighting against this county because we need to start taking action, not coming to the to the board of for the board of supervisors, city council meetings, and continue to argue with these public officials. We need to take action because this is the only way they listen. We need to do something, even if it takes us to remove them. And I'm glad to hear that some new person is going to run for sheriff because we need a new sheriff because Sheriff Tom Paseco is not a Constitution sheriff. And it's time for us to remove some of these good old boys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. Mr. Berger, followed by Mr. Alexander.
Good morning. Perhaps you can all recall that on February 26, I presented what I consider to be a public safety issue, and I can just report to you that the situation continues to escalate, and that the response I've had so far from the county amounts to sort of a shrug of the shoulders and an opinion by Mr. Cruz, as I understand, that the county is no way liable. Well, I myself have quadrupled my liability insurance because of this situation. And I hope you're not so naive to think that Mr. Cruz's opinion wouldn't be tested if there is a serious incident in the county. On the 26th, I think you have before you each have seen a letter from the Shasta County Cattlemen's Association. And on the 26th of March, a couple of weeks ago, one of the neighbors observed this lady herding my cattle out onto the road with her pickup. Instead of driving them 50 feet across her property line, she was using her pickup to intentionally put them through a 16-foot wide gate out onto the county road. She called 911. CHP responded, and she wrote this letter that she asked me to read. April 8th, This is dated yesterday. Honorable Board of Supervisors, my name is Tracy Gouette. I live at 13276 Gas Point Road. I'm unable to make your meeting, so I've asked Mr. Robert Berger to read this letter to you. I am writing concern with the owner of parcels 045-110, 048, and 49, which is across the street and to the north of my property. Mr. and Mrs. Berger have leased grazing rights to the two adjoining parcels mentioned above. The owner has not fenced her off her property so that the cattle are able to roam on and around her property. She does have 2 corrals fenced in for her horses. The problem is she doesn't understand that those parcels are considered open range as well as the Gas Point Road. Any owner must fence in the property, keep any and all livestock off his or her property. I have called 911 twice to report the cattle on the road and was routed to CHP. The said owner was leaving the gate open. However, everyone in our area were concerned about the nearby cattle wandering on the highway and would close the gates. So the said owner now padlocks the gates open. As a comment, at this moment, the gate is padlocked open. I noticed as I came into town. The last time I called, they observed the said owner herding the cattle onto the road with her pickup, which she only got 1 cow and calf out the gate prior to my arrival. She then blocked the gate so that I could not put the cattle back in. It was after 5 p.m. with people traveling home, so we were stopping and directing traffic around the said cattle. She was screaming and yelling that they needed to go 1/8 of a mile down the road to another gate, that this gate was on her property, and she was not going to move her truck to allow them back in. I had no other choice but to herd the cattle down the road, again dodging oncoming traffic. The CHP officer reiterated to the said property owner that it was open range, owner's responsibility to fence, and so was the highway, which fell under CHP responsibility, and which she expressed her concerns about not letting the cattle back on the property through the gate she was blocking. She asked her to please rethink her thought process and try to get along with the neighbors. This is a real public hazard. Someone is going to be gravely injured and or killed, not to mention the livestock. There are 4 homeowners across the street from the above said property, which all have different types of livestock in their pastures. My other concern is that if someone swerves to miss the livestock, they could potentially hit one of our fences, thus causing injury to themselves, as well as letting our livestock onto the road, making for a double hazard. There is no talking with the above said owner of the property, as we have tried many times. I believe it's high time for the Board of Supervisors to take a stand and enact an ordinance requiring all gates to be closed on open range property. In addition, if not followed, that person should be responsible for all liability costs incurred if such a horrific accident should occur. Thank you in advance for your time and cooperation in this matter. Sincerely, Tracy Gouette.
Thank you, Mr. Berger.
I have another letter.
Your time has expired, sir. Thank you for being here. Our next speaker is Mr. Charles Alexander.
Thank you for the opportunity here today to address the board on the matter of, among other things, the podcasting of board meetings. Most unfortunate it is that Board of Supervisor meetings are not podcast after the manner in which Reading City Council meetings are podcast. If, for example, the February 5th meeting had been so podcast, the truth about what was said there would be for any and all to download. But that is not the only reason to podcast board meetings. On many an occasion, one or another board member would need to make an important announcement or issue an important comment concerning a matter of county business, which matter had been bandied about in the media for some time at that time, and yet that particular comment or announcement would go practically nowhere because it is not able to be downloaded. It is only cable cast for 2 days and that's it. And people outside the Reading area who do not get charter cable are unable to see are unable to see the cable cast. Whereas podcasting can be downloaded whereas a podcast can be downloaded at any time of day or night. This is not the time to retreat behind the skirts of traditional practice. It is time to go above and beyond and allow the truth, both good and bad, to be made known for one and all. If the truth were known, then a certain facility, which was discussed on February 5th, would have to be characterized in the same way that it was characterized on February 5th, and not in a manner which is contradictory to that characterization. It is time to podcast the meetings and make the information available to more than just a certain few. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the request to speak this morning. We will now move to the regular calendar. Continued R3, Board Matters. Consider adopting a resolution which recognizes Shasta County Employee of the Month for April 2013. I will read the proposed resolution. Employee of the Month presentation. Jim Stevens, Custodian 2. Now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Jim Stevens, Custodian 2, Department of Public Works, is hereby named Shasta County Employee of the Month for April 2013. And be it further resolved that Mr. James Stevens is not only a positive role model for county employees, but for everyone. He is professional, kind, pleasant, compassionate, and considerate. He is responsive to his customers and anyone he comes in contact with. He is willing to take on any assignment with enthusiasm and without complaint. He is modest and unassuming, but with an energetic and entertaining sense of humor. Mr. Stevens demonstrates daily what it is to be an outstanding county employee. May we have a motion, please, to accept the resolution?
And I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Further discussion of the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Pat Minturn, Public Works Director. Good morning, Mr. Minturn.
Good morning, Chairman Keough, members of the board. Pat Minturn, Public Works Director. I'd like to thank the board for this recognition for James. And also I'd like to thank Terry Love for the nomination. James works in child support services. Those are the folks that see him day in, day out. Terry is very much an in-charge director. She knows what goes on in her department. And so I really take it as a compliment to James that another department head saw fit to bring this honor upon him. And Terry, I understand, was in the audience today and wanted to
right behind
you,
Mr. Minturn.
You see, she watches everywhere. So I'll defer to Terry.
All right. Ms. Love, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Keough. Terry Love, Director of Child Support Services. Yes, we did nominate Jim. He is assigned to our 46,000 square foot building 5 days a week, and very happy with the service that he provides us. In September, our department decided to recognize him ourselves and felt that he deserved some special recognition for the great job that he does for us. He's our quiet hero who magically cleans, our floors and windows and empties our trash every day. Very unassuming. Don't know that he's there. We're on the phone all day with customers, and when he brings his vacuum around, he knows whether or not we're on the phone, and somehow makes that vacuum very quiet so that our customers doesn't even know that he's there. I can leave my office and come back and my trash is emptied without me knowing it. It's wonderful to have Jim in our department. He is considerate to us. He is trustworthy, and definitely takes pride in what he does and every day. And we're very happy to have him there and see him recognized in this way. Thank you.
Ms. Love, let's invite, excuse me, following your strategy, let's invite Mr. Stevens down. Oh, here you go. Jim, it takes a lot of people to make the county run, and many people are behind the scenes, and your performance has been outstanding. And so on behalf of my colleagues and the entire county community, it's a pleasure to present you with this Shasta County Employee of the Month plaque, April 2013, Jim Stevens, Custodian 2, in recognition of your overall professionalism, commitment, and high personal standards in your service to the citizens of Shasta County. And this is signed by Supervisors Keogh, Modi, Giacomini, Chappelle, and BOS. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
That's great. Glad you're here. Now, in addition to the plaque, we have a rosewood pen gift set engraved with Shasta County on the pin, and the gift box is engraved also. We have a DVD of the award presentation, courtesy of Shasta County. We have a $25,000. Let me correct that, Jim. We have a $25 gift certificate donated by the Mid-Management Bargaining Unit to a local restaurant. A $25 gift certificate donated by the Department Head Forum to Outback Restaurant, a $25 gift certificate donated by the Shasta County Employees Association, and a $40 gift certificate to a local restaurant donated by the Deputy Sheriff's Association. And we appreciate the recognition by these organizations to the Employee of the Month. Jim, would you like to say something? Especially about that $25,000 Ms. Love is giving you. So step right up, please.
I'd like to thank the supervisors for their time today. Thank you. Also like to thank my supervisor and Bob, the rest of the custodial staff for all their support throughout this little get-together today. And most of all, I'd like to thank Director Terry Love and the entire staff at Child Support Services for helping make this day happen. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take some pictures now. Jim, if you'd come center stage. Ms. Love, Mr. Minturn, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
us out, huh? Yeah. Boy, a lot of family and friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is item R4, Board Matters. Consider adopting a proclamation which designates April 2013 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Shasta County. We have invited Supervisor Chappelle to read and present this proclamation. Supervisor Chappelle.
Thank you, Chair Kehoe. It's my honor today to be able to read this proclamation. This proclamation is Shasta County Board of Supervisors Proclamation, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, April 2013. Whereas sexual assault is an intolerable, violent crime with public health implications for every person in Shasta County as either a victim, a survivor, or as a family member, significant other, neighbor, or co-worker of a victim, survivor. And whereas someone is sexually assaulted every 2 minutes somewhere in America, nearly 1 in 6 American women and 1 in 33 American men are victims of sexual assault. Approximately 44% of rape victims are under the age of 18, and 80% are under the age of 30. And whereas 1 in 4 college women surveyed are victims of rape, attempted rape, and over 3,000 women and over 92,000 men are forcibly raped each year in the United States. And whereas victims of sexual assault, victims of sexual violence face both immediate and long-term psychological consequences such as fear, anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And whereas staff and volunteers of sexual assault programs in Shasta County are working to provide quality services and assistance to sexual assault survivors. And whereas by offering training to all community groups regarding sexual assault issues, we can successfully in reducing the incidence of this outrageous crime against citizens living in Shasta County and holding perpetrators who are committed sexual violence responsible for their actions. And whereas Shasta County strongly supports the efforts to encourage every citizen to actively engage in public and private efforts to speak out against sexual assault violence, including conversation about what sexual violence is, how to prevent it, how to help survivors connect with critical counseling and other supportive services, and how every segment of our society can work together to better address sexual behavior. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Shasta County Board of Supervisors here proclaims the month of April 2013 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Shasta County, and it reaffirms its commitment to speak out against sexual violence by remembering the victims, the survivors, the supporting survivors, holding the perpetrators responsible for committing sexual attacks, and challenging the behaviors of the perpetrated sexual violence in our county. This is signed this day, April 19, 2013, by Chairman David Kehoe. So I'd like to ask Josh Laurie to come up, please. Oh, excuse me. I need to make a motion to approve
Very good,
this.
sir. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion of the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Supervisor Chappelle. Mr. Lowry, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Sexual assault, the only way to fight that is through a team effort. And today we have a critical member of our team here in this county, and that's the very capable Executive Director of the Shasta Women's Refuge and Family Justice Center, Jean King. She's here along with some of her staff, and I'll allow her to introduce those folks as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jean King. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowry. Good morning, Ms. King.
Good morning, Chairman Kehoe and board members. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
This isn't a very pleasant topic. I can't give you all the good news that we've heard in some of the other things, and I'm going to actually give you a few more of statistics. He already mentioned some, but I thought to keep it short and tell you about what is going on locally and in the nation. First of all, I want to ask my staff and board members that are here this morning to stand up and be recognized. I'm honored to work with them. They're a great group of people. They're doing a very hard job, and I'm so pleased that they're here today. Josh Lowry is one of our board members. Francie Sullivan is a board member, and Sandy Sullivan is the vice president of our board. And could I take a minute? Could they introduce
You
themselves?
bet.
Good. Let's start.
And I'm Michael Burke, the director of the center. Currently, I'm a community educator.
Emily Westfall, Director of Education and Outreach Services. Thank you. I'm Jennifer Benton, I'm the Crisis Line and Volunteer Coordinator. I'm Nicole Lightfoot, I'm another community educator. Kelly Weigel, the Children's Program Coordinator. Christine Parker, Jessica Thorne, Shelter Assistant.
Thank you.
Well, now let's recognize these people for their hard work. Thank you.
I see some other volunteers in the audience, but we just appreciate everyone's contribution to what we do. So quickly, I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you some statistics retrieved from both local and national resources. As of March 31st, 2013, Shasta Women's Refuge and Family Justice Center served 144 victims of sexual assault. 225 are projected by the end of June, which will be a 30% increase from last year. 22 of those are men. The average number of men reporting sexual assault in the nation is 3%. In Shasta County, it is 10%. Victims are most likely report first to the Shasta Women's Refuge and Family Justice Center, second to a hospital, and thirdly to law enforcement. 60% never report at all. 97% of rapists will never spend a day in jail. 80% of the rapes happen to people under 30 years of age, and 15% of those are children under the age of 12. A friend, acquaintance, intimate partner, or a relative commits over 70% of the sexual assaults. The average rapist is 31 years old, and 1 in 3 are on drugs or intoxicated. Factors that contribute to making Shasta County often exceed state and national statistics include household mental illness, household substance abuse, incarcerated family member, parental separation and divorce, witnessing domestic violence, low education rates, high unemployment rates, low wages, and living in a rural area. We strongly believe that this community is united in supporting our work against sexual assault. We thank you, our County Board of Supervisors, for recognizing this issue and supporting our efforts. Thank you so much.
Now, Ms. King, if individuals watching the program this evening would like to get involved in this worthwhile activity, how can they go about doing that? How can they assist the organizations that you're associated with?
Thank you. They can call, I'll give you the number slowly, 530-244-0117, and that's a 24-hour line that they can call in at any time. They can come into our office at 2280 Benton Drive or at the Family Justice Center, which is located in the downtown mall, and I'm the exact address,
1670 Market Street, Suite 300.
Upstairs.
Upstairs, yes. And going online to shastawomensrefuge.org.
Good. Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you.
Supervisor Chappelle.
It's my pleasure and honor to present this proclamation to you today. Thank you very much for your services. It's great. 1 in 4 women in the colleges seems to be a pretty high figure to me. However, I worked in a community college in the local Bay Area, and our number was probably higher than that. It's hard to believe. Here's what I'd like to say about that. We had a committee. We tried to resolve the problems. Most of the stuff was happening in the evening, and it was happening because our campuses weren't locked down. We had a really easy way to lock them down and require everybody to have parking permits. We brought those solutions to our board, and they didn't enact on them. And it was horrible. We ended up getting rid of our superintendent of the college in the hopes that when somebody else would come and would make improvements, and they didn't make any improvements either. So what has to happen here is that if we have solutions, they need to be acted upon also, that they're valid solutions. Not only do we have sexual assaults, so we had a lot of people that, purse snatchers and stuff, that they would hit the ladies in the face, break noses, break cheekbones, do some severe damage, cheekbone under your eye and stuff like that, do some severe damage. So I can attest to that number, and it is a problem, and I'm glad you guys are working on it. I have to commend you for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. King, Mr. Lowry, and Mr. Chappelle. We appreciate that presentation. Item R5, Board Matters. Consider adopting a proclamation which designates April 2013 as National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month in Shasta County. We have invited Supervisor Baugh to make this presentation. Supervisor Baugh.
Thank you very much, Chair Kehoe. This is a Shasta County Board of Supervisors proclamation for National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, April 2013. Whereas children are the embodiment of innocence and hope for the future, and every child deserves to grow up in a nurturing environment, free from harm and fear, and should be provided every opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive. And whereas every responsible person will agree that even one abused child is too many. And when abuse or neglect does occur, individual citizens have a duty to report it to the appropriate authorities. And whereas scientific studies confirm a direct link between adverse childhood experiences and health as an adult, including significantly greater risk for substance abuse, suicide, cancer, heart disease, and other serious illnesses. And whereas quality parent education, the Parent Partner Program, other parent support programs, after-school programs, and home visitation programs demonstrate effectiveness in strengthening families' skills and building protective factors that reduce the risk of abuse and neglect. And whereas this month, we emphasize the importance of understanding the devastating impact child abuse or neglect has on our community, how important it is to offer support for stressed families, and when needed, how to recognize the signs of child abuse and neglect, and how to report. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Shasta County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims April 2013 as National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month in Shasta County, and calls upon all organizations, community members, and businesses to increase their participation in strength-based efforts to prevent child abuse. And this is signed this day by David A. Kehoe, Chairman, Shasta County Board of Supervisors, and I move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second of the proposed proclamation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Supervisor Baugh.
You're welcome. I'd like to invite Betty Futrell to come forward, and I'm sure you have some thoughts to share, and I'll make my way over there for the official.
Wonderful.
Good morning, Ms. Vertel.
Oh, good morning. Sorry, I heard it there. My name is Betty Futrell, and I'm the Executive Director for the Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council here in Shasta County. And I wish to thank Supervisor Baugh for sponsoring this proclamation today. I have folders that I'm going to hopefully share with all of you. And while she's passing those out, there's some things I wanted to bring your attention to in the folder. One, you have a blue ribbon pin that you are welcome to wear all year, as well as this month if you would like. And then we also have a blue ribbon for everyone to put on. And I have demonstrated. I used my blue ribbon and put the pin over it so it would stay very secure. And we have a few things that are going on this month that I wanted to highlight. One is we are rounding our month off with, at the end of the month on April 30th, with our Child Abuse Prevention Tri-Tip benefit. And this is our signature fundraiser that we do every year, and truly appreciate the support that we've received from the community and the Board of Supervisors in the past. And it'll be April 30th, 11 until 1. Pre-sale tickets are $10, and we do have it where you can pay online now, just going to the website, and your tickets you can print your tickets off there as well. We also have the Anderson Family Fun Fest that we help with every year, and we are involved with the Week of the Young Child. We're also very involved with the National Volunteer Week, which is in April as well, because we have many volunteers, over 80 volunteers that help with the efforts that we do around the county, including our AmeriCorps members. And I also would like to let everybody know that this year on the 27th of April, the Shasta Roller Derby will be performing at the Anderson Fairgrounds, and they're going to be donating their proceeds to the Child Abuse Prevention Council, which we truly appreciate. Love to see all of you there. I'll be standing at the door, so anyone who'd like to join us. And we also have, I just wanted to bring to your attention that we have received a mini grant this year to do a pilot project where we have a staff person who will be training some grocery stores, restaurants, larger businesses like that on, it's hard to explain, but actually it's not hard to explain. It's there, we've created a bag, and the idea is that if parents are having challenges with their children being disruptive to the other people, the other patrons, etc., a staff person for, say, the restaurant would be able to give this bag with suggestions on what they could do to that, with that family. And in the bag there are, there's a book, there's a coloring book, there's crayons, there's sticky bingo. There's just activities to keep children, mainly under the age of 5, it's directed towards under 5, kind of, involved, and let there, be peace at dinner, hopefully. So, and I also wanted to share that through the generous donation of a private donation that we received this year, we've been able to bring the hours of our Blue Ribbon chairperson, who is Lori Harris, bring her hours back up so that she is able to start really getting back out there with the knowledge of child abuse prevention and the mandated reporter trainings and, all of the amazing things that she does. And I also would like at this point to recognize our fantastic staff and AmeriCorps members who have shown up today. If you would stand up, I will not ask you to tell us your names, but if you wouldn't mind standing. Thank you so much for all you do.
Well, now, Ms. Brookel,
Yes.
let's introduce these dedicated individuals.
Okay, well, I tried, sorry. Sarah, let's start with you.
I'm Sarah Phillips, I'm a site facilitator. I'm Leona Milam, and I'm a project coordinator. Liz Crane, volunteer coordinator. Lori Harris, and I coordinate the Blue Ribbon Campaign and the mandated child abuse report. April Carlson, program coordinator. Barbara Jackson, project director.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, well, thank you. And I got to do the fun part, and our deputy director, Rochelle Medina, is going to give you a very brief overview of how we've been doing this last year, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for the proclamation that April is National Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month.
May we have your name again, please?
Rochelle Modena, Deputy
Thank
Director
you.
with the Child Abuse Prevention Council. I'd like to very briefly highlight some of our work over the last year, but also highlight some work that the community is doing around child abuse prevention efforts. We've had 60 AmeriCorps members serving and dedicated to families and children in our community. Our parent partners served 533 families, and they provided 3,911 home visits to families in need. We spent $30,000 on direct needs of families, most of that going towards stable housing. We provided 554 youth with mentoring, and we trained over 1,200 people on how to make a suspected child abuse report. I believe that our community is more focused, more organized, and more passionate than ever to protecting and strengthening families. In 2011, the Strengthening Families Collaborative was formed, bringing together over 30 agencies focusing on reducing adverse childhood experiences and really working together in a coordinated way on this effort. I thank you for thinking about children and families over the next year as you make those decisions, because we know that preventing child abuse is not only CAPC's business, but it's everybody's business. So I thank you again for your time today.
Thank you. Supervisor Baugh.
I was just asking Ms. Futrell how many years the Shasta County, or the Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council of Shasta County had been involved. 26 years. I think we should recognize them for 26 years of effort, folks. That's amazing. That's tremendous. Before I make this official presentation, could I ask you to give contact information for those that may want to knock on your door or just call and write a big check to you?
Absolutely. You can make your checks out to, no, I'm just kidding. The Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council is located at 2280 Benton Drive, and we are actually neighbors with the United Way and the Shasta Women's Refuge. And it's a 96003 zip code. Our phone number is 530-241-5816. And people are welcome to call there anytime. We also have a Facebook page as well as a website that they're welcome to check out too.
What day is the roller derby deal?
It is Saturday the 27th.
Okay, and how much would it take to get Les out there on that? I would go see that.
Well, let's just say he might do that, and I'll see you there.
I guess I should hit you up public for sponsorship for the Walk a Mile. I'll be doing 2 of them this year, Leonard. Would you?
I want to see you on the skates.
Yeah, on the skates. On behalf of the Shasta County Board of Supervisors, it is a privilege and an honor to make this official presentation. We thank you for your work, your efforts, your diligence in this community.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Supervisor Baugh. The next item on our agenda is a consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They may be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested person may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and consideration. We're going to remove item C6. Is there anything else any member of the audience would like to remove?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion of the motion. Mr. Chappelle.
I was just going to discuss C6 with you in regards to this low sodium.
Let me take care of this motion, and then we'll return to that if it's okay.
Right. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor Chappelle. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move to item C6, First Amendment to the Agreement with LGH Marketing Strategy. Ms. Hostler. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Kehoe, members of the board. Terry Fields Hostler, Branch Director of Public Health, part of the Health and Human Services Agency. What you have in front of you is the amendment to a current agreement with LGH Marketing for the development and expansion of a comprehensive social media campaign completely funded by our Centers for Disease Control grant as part of our 3-year sodium reduction initiative. As part of Healthy Shasta, this funding has helped us educate residents on the dangers of hidden salt, primarily found in processed and often restaurant foods, and to work with our local school cafeterias and restaurants to provide healthier choices. This particular subcontract was entered into last summer after we did research and showed that if we really wanted to target families with young children, using the internet and social media would be strategic, as this is where our parents go to find health information. We wanted a lighthearted way to motivate families and children to think about salt in the foods that they're eating so that they could make individual choices. And therefore, the Salt Monster was created and utilized as an education tool, much like Dandy, the smokeless dragon, who entertained our school children for years about the dangers of smoking. Because our funder, the CDC, was so pleased with this creative approach to education about a very topical health issue, more funding was made available to expand this campaign. At this time, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Chappelle.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Kehoe. I have a problem with the sodium, and I'm not trying to be real negative on this, but I want to make something aware here. I realize that sodium has an adverse effect. Actually, sodium in abundant amount has an adverse effect as far as hardening the arteries and that type of thing goes. However, when we make a recommendation to cut sodium down, sodium is part of the mineral base, the potassium, magnesium, and sodium. Just as a wire has copper in it, that's the conduit for the electricity. The brain produces electricity, and the minerals in that nerve, they're the conduit, like the copper wire, and they bring that whatever the brain's trying to notify the certain organ or muscle or whatever, they bring that information to that particular part of the body. Low sodium will kill you. And one of the reasons why I'm a little bit ambivalent about this today is about 8 months ago, I almost lost my wife to low sodium. And if you could have saw her, she was in intensive trauma care for 4 days. She didn't know where she was. She didn't know who she was. Her arms were flaying all over the place. She had a seizure in the waiting room. She had a seizure in the CAT scan. And it all was because of low sodium. And one of the problems was, one of the doctors there realized that she was taking a diuretic, which helps you eliminate urine, and it was unbalancing her mineral count. So I would precaution on low sodium. It is an essential mineral that people need to function, and if I would think that it would be better to have a medical advice for that particular subject. I understand, my dad had hardening of the arteries, okay, so I understand that part of it. He used a lot of salt, okay, I've got both ends of this. However, if we start instructing people, don't use it anymore, are we going to have more complications down the road than we're going to resolve I guess what I should say, by giving advice without knowing the patient's history, without knowing the needs of the minerals that they really need, without knowing if they're mineral deficient or not, and we're just telling them, okay, just skip this mineral right now, and you don't really need it because it's going to cause these problems. But the other side of this is if you get your sodium level too low, you're dead. There's no coming back. I mean, she was fortunate that she was in the emergency room when that all happened at Mercy. Otherwise, she would have never made it. We lived in Lakehead at the time. She wouldn't have made it. So that's my input on this. And for me, I can't go through with this because I don't feel strong enough to be able to give a yes vote to this when I know the other complications on the other side. And thank you.
So, Ms. Hustler, why don't you talk to us briefly about the judicious use of the substance and also the dangers associated with excessive use of salt?
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity. 1 in 3 Shasta County residents, or 32.9%, have high blood pressure, which can lead to stroke and heart disease. This is significantly higher than our state average of 26.2%, which translates to approximately 46,000 of our Shasta County residents. Our general public health messages are to help folks identify nutrition information by reading labels, and in consultation with any medical provider, if they do have a medical condition, to make choices, individual choices, that will be in line with the CDC guidance and the scientific research that says the average American consumes about 3,300 milligrams of sodium a day. The essential sodium that's needed, and in right proportion with potassium, you're absolutely right, Supervisor Chappelle, should be around 1,500 milligrams. So again, our general public health messages is targeted to folks being able to be more informed, be educated, make individual choices, and we would certainly recommend that anyone with any medical condition do this in consultation with their private physician or registered dietitian.
Thank you. We have a request to speak on item C6. Ms. Dolores Lucero.
Listening to this item that you're talking about, it really caught my attention because you're basically, if you vote on this, you're making decisions for somebody's health. In other words, you could jeopardize somebody else's health. I'm making this, is she a doctor? I mean, does she have the qualifications to make these decisions, to recommend to the public what and what not to use or what to eat? We can't just, take somebody's recommendation and pay somebody, some 22,000 amount of money so they can make a recommendation when you could down the road have some children, families coming in here telling you that you actually voted on this issue and you jeopardize their life. So basically you'll be paying more thousands and thousands of dollars for jeopardizing their health. You don't know how much their body needs or not, how much to use. So for somebody to come in here and recommending, they're actually almost like acting as a doctor, recommending what everybody needs to use. We can't go by that. That's why there's doctors. These families could go to their doctors, they get checkup, they could recommend what they need. But for public officials to start making decisions what the citizens should be, how much salt and all these things they should need to use for their body, I think you actually will make a bad decision because of liability on the family. So I recommend that you don't, because she's not a doctor and she's just recommending. So I recommend that you really take this back and get some doctor's opinion before you decide. If you decide, I actually think it will be a bad decision. So I hope you don't vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. Any concluding remarks, Ms. Eisler?
Again, all of our recommendations for any kind of health information, whether it be to not smoke, to rethink your drink, to exercise more, or to educate yourself about the sodium that's in the foods that you're eating and make your own individual choices, is always based on scientific information and research supported by our health officer, Andrew Deckard, as well as the medical community. And of course, this funding came from the Centers for Disease Control, which again validated the information that we're providing.
Thank you. Supervisor Modi, followed by Supervisor Chappelle.
Yeah, just my understanding, this is just an informational campaign. It's getting information out to people so they understand what the concerns are, what the pros and cons are. They can make their own decision. We're not telling them not to. This is letting them realize that there are concerns out there and they should find out about it. Correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to make a motion to approve this.
Okay.
Second.
Under discussion, Supervisor Chappelle.
Thank you, Chair. I was just also had one, the Sol branded goods, is that from a nutritional aspect?
Yes, Sol the Salt Monster is the creative social media approach that we've taken to reach out to families and young children. I encourage folks to check out their videos. There's 3 of them that's on the healthyshasta.org website. Again, it's information for families to make choices in their own home.
Well, you guys are doing this, I guess you're aware of Monsanto, right? With their they're doing generic modified foods. I mean, that might not be a bad idea to get into also. Monsanto's got what's happening with them. They're one of the largest food growers in the world, and they've circumvented a lot of government regulations because they're so big. And they're doing things with the foods, they're genetically modifying them for different kinds of growth. And the nutrition aspect and the poisons that are coming out of it are not great. So I thought you might add that. The only thing that I can see about this salt thing, again, what I worry about is people you don't know their habits, and some people exercise too much, some people drink too much milk, okay? And some people, if they decide they're going to stop all sodium content, then they're going to be in serious trouble. If we're doing anything like this, I think it should mean something that says watch what you're using or watch what you're eating, as opposed to restrict it or don't use it. And again, I think it should come from a doctor background. And I wouldn't feel this way if I hadn't experienced it personally, because I didn't realize. But you have people that have gone. There was an instructor out of Shasta College who went on a 100-mile bike ride race, right? He died. So your marathon runners drop dead every now and then. Basketball players, football players, and they're young people. This particular person wasn't that young. But they lose their mineral balance, and then that conductivity's gone, and they're gone. So that's my concern. I'm not trying to raise a huge problem here. I realize of the abuse of all types of things in foods at this day and age we live in, but I also want to make sure that people get the proper information. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Chappelle. Supervisor Baugh.
Thank you. Under discussion, I haven't heard anywhere in the presentation, the information supplied, where we are suggesting not to use salt. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing an informational presentation, education, providing information. This is what we do from a health perspective. We provide informed facts. People then take that information and they choose whether to consult with their doctor. I would think that, and I actually have been through an episode of low sodium as well, not the severity of your wife, and I praise God for that. But I do understand what it feels like to have restricted my diet to the point where I wasn't consuming enough salt. This program may have helped me to understand that my body requires minimum amounts of salt on a daily basis to be able to remain healthy. So on that basis, information is a good thing. We need not fear providing information and facts to the public. I believe that's our responsibility to do so.
Thank you, Supervisor Chappelle. Do you have?
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Very much. We have a motion and a second then concerning disposition of item C6. Is there further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion?
Opposed.
No? No. Okay, very good. Motion carries 4-1. Thank you very much, Ms. Osler. Our next item on the agenda Agenda is General Government, Administrative Office Board of Supervisors receive a legislative report update and consider action on specific legislation related to Shasta County's legislative platform. And 2, receive supervisors' reports on countywide issues. Relative to number 2, I'm going to start with Supervisor Giacomini, followed by ahead of Supervisor Lees. Following Mr. Lees. I'm still focusing on that $25,000 contribution. Thank you. Ms. Giacomini.
Thank you, Chairman Kehoe. Let's see, Leonard and I had the opportunity to meet with the Executive Director for Sacramento River Conservation Forum. And then I attended the CSA number 6 Advisory Board meeting. I also had the opportunity to judge a joint, it was a Shasta County Farm Bureau and Shasta College Collegiate Speaking event, which was the first time they'd ever done it. Listened to 5 excellent speeches, and we found a great winner. So it was a great opportunity to participate in that.
Good. Thank you, Supervisor Giacomini. Supervisor Modi.
Yeah, I attended the EDC meeting. Also attended the North Sac Valley IRWM meeting yesterday. I just want to report that of the 7 chapters of our plan, we now have 4 chapters that have been reviewed by the board, are in draft form, and are out there for the public to review. The next 3 chapters will be brought forward in June. Still lots of time for the public to provide input if they want. Or invite anybody that wants to look at the plan to go to the website, which is NSV, North Sac Valley, nsvwaterplan.org, and you'll find the information there. And then lastly, I just think we'd be remiss without remembering the passing of Dale Trudeau,
Yes.
a 2-time foreman of our grand jury, a person who was involved in the community in a lot of different ways, and obviously he used to come to our meetings all the time until his illness. Unfortunately, he passed away. I did go to the service, and I always thought Dale was a really kind person, but the way they really described it, which I thought was even better, was a joyful person, a person who brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. The place was packed, friends and family. So a very special person.
Yes, he was. Thank you, Supervisor Modi. With Supervisor Baugh, I attended the LAFCO meeting last week, and that material is available to all board members. And I also attended the Sacramento Valley Basin-Wide Air Pollution Control Council down in Willows, and that material is available to everyone. Supervisor Baugh.
Thank you, Chair Kehoe. It's been a busy couple of weeks for everyone. Very successful Cottonwood Community Town Hall. I want to especially thank our Sheriff Tom Basenko for coming and speaking and addressing the issues community-wide of AB 109. I will tell you, it was probably the best and the best questions of any town hall we've ever had. I appreciate the community being present as well. Had a community meeting in Shingletown among the businesses and the property owners in what we would consider the core of the Meadows area of Shingletown regarding fire suppression system. It was a full house. The fire hall hosted the meeting, and with the exception of one property owner, the rest of the folks applauded Mr. Minturn and his presentation. I want to thank him for taking the time to come up. We can't make everyone happy. I'll just say that in advance, board, but the majority of the folks out there appreciate the efforts of the county to come and address issues as they are needed. Participated in the community prayer breakfast at Simpson, as did other supervisors, and also Good Friday services. You already mentioned LAFCO. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Supervisor Baugh. Supervisor Chappelle.
Thank you, Chair Kehoe. I had the privilege of going up to Lake Head over the Easter session and was a judge at the Easter parade. One thing I learned about that is you don't want to have an even number on a board, on judges, okay? As we had about 2 ties, and I'm going, how are we going to resolve this, guys, you know? So anyway, it was pretty interesting. Then also the same day, I presented the proclamation from Shasta County for the Vietnam vets for March, recognizing the month of Vietnam vets. I had the honor to do that, and it was great. And I know I look real young, but unfortunately I was too old for the Vietnam War. So, but anyways, but I did have a few of my friends, personal friends, that got killed over there, and I talked about their experiences and stuff. And I really, the Vietnam vets got really slammed really bad, and Jim Carrey and Jane Fonda didn't help them all with all their negative publicity. And they got treated really, really bad when they got back off that war. Almost like third and fourth class citizens, and it was horrible. And any way we can make up that the atrocity that happened to them is I feel is really honorable, and that's what we should do. So I really, it was great that I got to do it, and I felt really honored by doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Chappelle. Item R7, 2011 realignment mid-year budget amendments.
Good morning, Chairman Kehoe, members of the board, Julie Hope, County Administrative Office. I know this looks kind of complicated. It mostly revolves around technical mechanics. If you will go to page 2, I think I can summarize rather quickly. Last year, when the department submitted their budget, it was in March of 2012, and they submitted a balanced budget, about $6.9 million in revenue and expenditures of what we expected to get from the state. If you'll look at the second column on the table on page 2, the actual revenue that we received is about $6.3 million because the state adjusted our allocation down in May after we had already submitted our budget. The third column, the budgeted expense, is the expenditures approved in the CCP plan for this year, approved by the Board of Supervisors on October 2nd. So basically what we're doing is adjusting the revenue down to meet our true allocation and adjusting the expenditures up based on the approved CCP plan. And that's what all of those little parts and pieces add up to. They do expect by budget to have about $842,000 in fund balance left at the end of this fiscal year 12-13. Actual projections and expenditures, because of the delayed opening of the day reporting center and expansion of work release, probably closer to $1.8 million in fund balance available at the end of this fiscal year. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Hope, then we have sufficient funds to effectively run the program?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Further questions? Pleasure of the board concerning disposition of item R7.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Hope.
Thank you.
Item R8, closed session announcement. The Board of Supervisors will recess to a closed session to discuss the following items. Estimated 10 minutes, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, and conference with a labor negotiator. At the conclusion of the closed session, reportable action, if any, will be reported in open session. We'll now adjourn to closed session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this morning.